Greetings, students. My name is Julio Soto, and I'm here invited to talk to you about the incredible opportunity that you all have in learning and engaging in all things tourism and geography. This is a very broad-based subject, specifically around the opportunities around the United States, but I think we could do this in a way that will break it down, make it digestible, make it understandable, but really inspire you and really bring to life the true broad-based career pathing that can occur within the US as it relates to tourism and hospitality. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity. One thing I will start off with is I wanted to talk a little bit about myself and how I was able to sort of explore and enter the world of tourism many years ago. I am a native here of Tampa, Florida, very close to the University of South Florida, where your school is. And I grew up within the school system here and the college system here. And I've been in the business for 30 years. And when I say I've been in the business, I've been with AAA for 30 years. And it's been an incredible journey. And I never thought I would be here teaching a class on tourism and geography to students. But I'm here, and it's sort of proof and validates that the industry is viable. It's exciting. There's growth potential. And the way that you will be able to pair geography with tourism and career pathing is pretty interesting. And hopefully I'll be able to cover some of this. Let me start with the company that I work for, because it really ties into tourism in North America, specifically the US. AAA, 150-year-old company. It is member-based. I'm sure you have heard of or are aware of our roadside assistance. It is our core competency, but we've expanded, and travel is part of our line of business now. So the company, member-based, has around 67 million members currently in the United States. So that means 1 out of every 4 Americans is a AAA member, which I think is tremendous. And I think the idea behind the company's advocacy for traveling regionally around the geography of the United States is very critical to this conversation, because we are experts in that subject matter, for sure. We have been advocating and directing and advising folks to travel regionally, geographically in the United States for many years. So we know, based on feedback, what works, what doesn't, where to send people, and why. So I bring that knowledge base to this conversation, and hopefully you will be able to engage with the company. If you go on to AAA.com as an example, on the roadside, you will see geographically the breadth of product that's available. And that's just one company out of many that are doing similar work for the consumer in the United States. So without any further ado, let's talk about this. Let's really break it down. I've got 3 different objectives here for you. Obviously, the umbrella overarching objective is, how do you connect the dots between tourism, geography, and you? How do you tie those together? And I will hopefully be able to bring that to life. A couple of things. There is going to be clearly a why. How do you get to these places and why? And then also where. Where are people going? Where are the concentrations of tourism opportunities and hospitality opportunities, and why? So really the how is just as interesting as the where. And the how are the different organizations and really vertical businesses that make up the tourism industry in the United States. Clearly the first one, easy, is the airline industry. So big country, thousands of miles, points to points all over the place. So you need an airline system that can get you there. And granted, there are some issues with delays and weather and all that kind of crazy stuff. But in the end, it is the fastest and most efficient way to get people there. So the airline industry in itself is going to be very lucrative, and it's going to be interesting, and it's going to present some opportunities. So keep that in mind, that it's not just the where we're going, it's how we get there. Also, the rail system in the United States is not as diverse as it is in Europe, as an example, but still another transportation mode that could be interesting in pursuing careers. And also the road service. I mean, the idea that we get around in our cars, most popular, especially regionally. If you live in Florida, you usually go up to the mountains in Tennessee, as an example. So the idea that you can get there by plane, train, and automobile is really alive and well. And I think it's important to understand that in each of those industries, there is career pathing and opportunity as well. That's not necessarily tied with the geography, but I wanted to share that getting there is just as important. So please keep that in mind. So let's talk about where. Where are people traveling to, and where are the geographic pockets that make the most sense and that are trending. Now, please keep in mind that this is such a broad-based subject that we would probably have to revisit with a part two to really get into maybe the second tier regions, second tier geography zones, second tier cities that are just as important, but I'm going to touch on the big ones first so that you can get an idea of if I'm going to do this, where do I need to focus on? First and foremost, state of Florida, the state that I live in, the state that you are being educated in, if you're here physically, big, massive, major player in the tourism business as it relates to geography. I mean, as you can well imagine, with the thousands of miles of coastline and everything in between, Florida remains just an incredible force in the US tourism business. As you can well imagine, in Florida, you've got everything from the beaches. Think about it. Think about the metropolitan areas that anchor beach resort style type of vacations. The Miami area, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, the Panhandle beaches, the west coast of Florida beaches, Jacksonville. I mean, you name it. The beach resort industry here is formidable. And you need to keep that in mind because there's a lot of tourism that can come from that geographic area. Also, the central part of the state with its attractions, mainly Orlando anchors that with Walt Disney World, the Universal family there, SeaWorld Entertainment. You get a tremendous amount of lift into the attraction corridor of Florida. So I always wanted to bring that up first because it's obvious, but it's billions and billions of dollars, and it's important because you can do all kinds of things geographically in the state of Florida, and it can bring you tremendous opportunity. You can live in a big city, you can live in a small city, you can work virtually, you can work in a headquarter building like mine here in Tampa, but it's big and it's overwhelming, and it's bouncing back very well. So keep that in mind. In general, the southeastern part of the United States geographically is just really popular. I mean, you have Florida that anchors it, but Atlanta metropolitan area, massive. In Tennessee as well, you've got Nashville, Memphis, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, major. And then in the Carolinas, on the Atlantic coast, you have spectacular cities like Savannah and Charleston. So lots of culture, as you can well imagine, lots of architecture, lots of attractions here in the Southeast, the beaches, the natural trails, the Everglades. It's everything. It's everything. And it's within driving distance of one another. So the drive market within the Southeast dominates, at least in this part of the country. So please keep that in mind. It's important. And so there's a lot here. The next corridor that I wanted to talk about is the Northeast. I mean, you can imagine that when you tie these major US metropolitan cities, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New York, and Boston, and everything in between, it's incredible. And they're fascinating cities. I mean, you want to talk about everything, theater and art and culture. It's got everything. So the Northeast, tremendous opportunity. But the thing about it is that it's transient at points. I mean, with the weather shifting, many people go south, maybe people go back up north. There's a lot of that going on. But in terms of the complexity of the infrastructure in the Northeast, it's interesting and it's exciting. And every element that I've just talked about, every one of them is intertwined in there. The airline, the train, and car is pretty exciting. So between the Northeast and the Southeast, there is just a great amount of geographic tourist opportunity at your fingertips in all aspects of it. So very important. As we start to move west in the United States, it's important to understand that the western part of the US, specifically the national parks out there, incredibly popular. It's breathtaking scenery beyond words. If you've never done it, I recommend it. But you're talking about the major national parks out there that bring millions and millions and millions of tourist dollars. Passengers come from all over the world to see them. Examples of that would be the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, Bryce, Zion, Arches National Park. So you've got all this natural beauty, this geographically natural beauty that anchors this. And it's really, there's nothing like it in the world. And it's very popular. And so you can, again, start to connect the dots with the West and the Southwest, and you get some tremendous natural beauty, active vacation, adventure vacations that tie into everything from whitewater rafting to dune buggies, zip lining, rock climbing, bike riding. You get the picture. It's everything, but it's very active. So it's very different from what you might see in the Southeast or the Northeast. Out West, you get a more active customer. Also, you've got some pretty dynamic cities in that part of the world as well. Denver, Las Vegas, with all of the casinos and all of the restaurants and all of the shows and the artists that have residency there. I mean, it's just pretty incredible. And finally, you've got California. And California is a world all to itself. It's just a spectacular place, but they've got everything. They've got skiing, and then you drive an hour and you can surf. Think about that. You ski and you can surf an hour from each other. Where else are you going to find that, right? So California, we can spend an hour just talking about it, but it's very important. It's just like another Florida where you get tourism, you get an incredible amount of culture, entertainment, cuisine, and then the architecture as an example, the beauty of San Francisco and things like that. So geographically, California represents a tremendous amount of tourism opportunity as well. So again, you got a lot to look at, and when you start to tie them together and you piece them together, there is just tremendous opportunity. So again, when you're looking about geography and how geography completely dominates what the tourism industry is like here in the United States, I think you can get a very good picture of the opportunity. So again, you have to think about what you gain from understanding it, and then how you translate that and how you overlay that onto a career pathing opportunity. So again, you've got AAA as an example. We advocate for travel across the United States with every form that you can think of. You can choose to, explore a company like mine who does it every day. Or you can look at the geography in itself as to what the opportunities are in a place like Las Vegas or Los Angeles or Nashville. So it's a big undertaking, but I feel that the more that you dive into the geography in these courses, and in this course specifically, the more it will open your eyes to the opportunity in itself. So they say it's a small world, but really it might be small, but the opportunity is endless. It really is endless. So hopefully this helps. And remember, just connect the dots, and you will be inspired to understand the opportunity and to run with it. So thank you.